have a break. If you're a small person, you're either funny or you're dead. I'm great at it. I suck face with the best of them. Was I so crass as to mention that I had 3 Emmys? This kind of a career can really drive you nuts. I'm not a violent guy, you know what I mean? I'm not, you know, when you think of me, you don't think of a spray of gunfire. Hey, man, I pretend them people. Give me a break. My biggest role in life is as a father and a husband, and that's what I focus on. The rest of it's just crap.
Michael J. Fox, funny, feisty, and philosophical. A Canadian dynamo who beat the odds to succeed and graduated from Family Ties to Family Man. In the next 30 minutes, you'll hear Michael's story in his own words on Michael J. Fox Uncut.
Just relax a little bit. Everybody take it easy. I said to my mom, you know, unbelievable. Steven Spielberg called me up. He wants me to do Back to the Future, this like giant movie, and I'll do that and Family Ties at the same time. And she said, no, you don't work too hard. I said, Mom, you know.
Michael worked on Family Ties by day and Back to the Future by night, working until 2 a.m. Michael's family helped keep his spirits up when filming became tedious.
It's really neat when your mom visits you and you're working, and it's just another day to you, and you're, you know, slogging through it, and she's like, you know, wow, you know, isn't that so-and-so? Or look at this, or what are they doing with that? And you start to realize what a great job it is, and, you know, how much wonder there is in this, and it's a special thing to do for a living.
Michael's energetic performance as Marty McFly helped propel Back to the Future to gross $200 million and establish Michael as a bankable movie actor. Michael's hot streak continued in 1986 when he won the first of 3 Emmys in a row for his work on Family Ties.
I brought it home because my mom really wanted to see it, and I wanted them to have it in their house. My dad was still alive at that point, and I wanted them to have it in their house. So I brought it home and put it on this table in the front hall, you know, so when people came in, they saw the Emmy, you know. My mom wanted it there. And the next morning I got up and I came upstairs, and next to my Emmy was my brother's boxing trophy and my sister's bowling trophy and my mom and dad's bridge trophy. And I mean, that's the kind of family I have.
Michael used breaks from Family Ties to do more films. In 1987's Light of Day, he played guitar in a working-class band. This was followed by his portrayals of an ambitious corporate climber in The Secret of My Success and a hard-partying magazine staffer in 1988's Bright Lights, Big City. Michael welcomed the chance to stretch in dramatic roles.
It's a thin line between comedy and tragedy. And so what you're doing when you're working in a comedy is you might be approaching the same material or the same situation that you would have in a dramatic film, but you're looking at it from the other side. You're looking at it from the funny side. So that's more fun to do. That's easier to do. It's harder for me to look at things from the other side, to look at it from the serious side and the tragic side, which is why I feel like every once in a while you got to do that to keep yourself on an even keel. But I don't do it that much in life, so I try to do it in my work.
Michael's next film, Casualties of War, was his darkest yet, pairing him and Sean Penn as Vietnam soldiers. Michael hesitated doing the film, which dealt with the rape of a Vietnamese girl by U.S. soldiers and which was shot under trying conditions.
It was just like, can I live through this? I mean, do I want to go and be a soldier in Southeast Asia for 5 months and, like, be away from everybody and have to, like, deal with these images and these themes every single day? And I mean, it's difficult stuff. It's really hard to do. We're incredibly tired and incredibly homesick. And everyone, I've never seen such desperation of people wanting to get out of there, wanting to get done. But, you know, you watch the film and you go, well, it was worth it. It was something to do. It was something worth going through all of this for.
In 1989, Michael taped his final episode of Family Ties.
We did the last scene of the show, and it was a thing where I knew that the scene was clean. That is, that we didn't have to do any pickups. So I went backstage and I sensed that it was clean, and an AD was there and he handed me a beer. And I took the beer and I took a sip of it, and then I heard, "We're clean. That's a wrap." And like the sip of beer went down my throat, and like my eyes just opened up, and tears started to come down.
As Family Ties came to an end, production was going full speed on Back to the Future 2. That film presented Michael with unique challenges.
It was fraught with worry. I was, especially given that one of the big devices in the movie is that we go back into the first movie, and I'm actually side by side with myself 5 years ago. And, you know, there were a lot of hair checks, you know. I did a lot of, you know, where's the part now, where's the line go to, and all of that. But it's a credit to the material that the energy is exactly the same, and it just felt the same, and I didn't think about it too much. The only thing was that my knees hurt a little bit more after the Johnny B. Good scene this time.
As soon as the film was done, Michael went right into shooting Back to the Future Part 3, in which he time travels to the Old West. 1989 was also an eventful year in Michael's personal life, starting with the birth of his and Tracy's first child.
You have this idea when you're waiting for a baby to be born. You're wondering if he's going to look like you, or if he's going to look like your wife, or am I going to get him to do the things that I like to do, or, you know, is he going to be like me, or is he going to be like Tracy, or whatever. And then this person comes out, and they're like just their own person. They're taking like their first steps on the road to autonomy. They're just going to be whoever they're going to be. And in the same way, you don't want to drive things down their throat and influence them and try to change them and make them in your own image. You have a relationship, for example, with your father, and then you think you're at a place where you're like peers, or you know everything that he knows, and then your son is born, and then you're just starting to come up with a whole brand new list of questions, and then your father's gone. You know, those times are really, you know, that was a really difficult time for me, and so it took me a while to regroup from that.
Michael and Tracy decided to raise a family away from Los Angeles.
The thing about Los Angeles that's really tough is everybody does the same thing. You know, you could go to supermarket, any supermarket, and ask the cashier how her screenplay's coming, and she'll tell you, you know. She'll say, well, I'm a little bogged down in the second act or something. I mean, everybody is in this business, so it's important, I think. If you're not going to take yourself too seriously, you're not going to let it drive you nuts and dictate the whole rhythm of your life to get out of it.
Michael and his family split their time between an apartment in New York, a home in Connecticut, and a farm in Vermont, where they lead a simple life.
Ride horses and hang out and go shopping and go down to the market, and, you know, everything's on credit. They know your name. They just write it down, like, you know, 3 years of corn, Michael. And that's about it. Just get away from it all. I'm creating a couple of bird sanctuaries, one in Vermont and one in Connecticut. I built a pond in Connecticut, and I'm like planting, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 50, 60 trees, various kinds of trees that attract birds. Put in a viewing house thing, and I love that stuff. It keeps me sane.
After the box office failure of his recent dramatic films, Michael was ready to return to comedy in 1991's The Hard Way.
As I get older, I'm finding I'm more and more relaxed. I'm more willing to look goofy. I'm more willing to fall over stuff or get the pie in the face. It doesn't really matter to me. I go home, I hang out with my family, and I feel good. I wake up the next day and put the lampshade on again.
In The Hard Way, Michael played a spoiled movie star.
He's me to a certain extent, too. I mean, I've certainly, not in loud tones, but I've caught myself in conversations where I'll be talking to my agent and say, yeah, you know, this is a little problem. My motorhome is a little bit further away from the stage door than I like it. It's on the other side of the wardrobe truck. Now, in that tone of voice, but if you step back and you listen to that conversation, I'm complaining because my motorhome with a TV and a telephone and a beautiful thing and a couch and a table is 13 steps further away from where I work.
Michael next starred in Doc Hollywood as a new yuppie doctor driving to Beverly Hills to begin practicing, but gets sidetracked in a small southern town where he's forced to re-examine his values.
I think people are ready for a story that's going to reflect the way they feel about life right now, which is just, you know, taking a step back from the 80s and the rat race and trying to overachieve and trying to accomplish all these goals that you're not even sure of, you can't even define. So our movie is just a story that says, hey, relax, pull over, look around, you know, maybe it's a better place than where you think you're going.
Like his character, Michael, who worked and partied hard in his 20s, had redefined his own priorities.
I think the real turning point for me was you know, getting married and Tracy and I having Sam, and it kind of, you know, it makes things pretty clear in your life that your job is your job and your life is really the most important thing. And because I worked so hard and because I you know, was fortunate enough to have a good amount of success in my 20s, I'm not a big worrier now, you know. I don't panic about what other people, you know, might have planned for me or what their agendas are for me. I just kind of do what I want to do and do it the best I can. So I've had a real good time.
In Life with Mikey, he played a struggling talent agent for kids. Later that year, Michael played a hustling hotel concierge in For Love or Money. and got an insider's look at the profession.
They can talk to, like, maitre d's with you there about whether or not you tipped me enough that this guy should open up a table for you. But they can have the conversation in code, so you don't even know that I'm basically calling you a cheap jerk.
Both films failed at the box office, something Michael has always dealt with by maintaining a healthy perspective.
Our business is an entertainment business, and ultimately is about very lightweight stuff compared to, like, cancer research and nuclear physics and world peace. And we just, make up stories and pretend we're people and act them out and all that stuff. Because that's the kind of business it is, but it generates so much money and such, so many peripheral, people are employed in it. We try to pump it up and make it important, and we try to make it more than it is, and we try to let ourselves feel really important. Well, let me tell you about my work. Well, let me tell you about my work. I pretend I'm guys, okay? That's my job, so I'm not going to get nuts.
In his next film, 1994's Greedy, Michael pretended he was competing with relatives for a dying uncle's fortune. A highlight of the film was working with Kirk Douglas.
We just had a blast. I never, ever felt intimidated by him once we started working. I never felt anything but that I had a great partner, to work with. He was an amazing guy.
Michael continued to balance his personal and professional lives in 1995. In February, Tracy gave birth to twin daughters. On screen, Michael played an advisor to Michael Douglas in The American President. Michael also spent the summer in New Zealand filming the supernatural comedic thriller, The Frighteners.
I was really shocked at how scary it was. I was really shocked at how intense it was. And I can't believe it. There was at one point when I actually thought I'd let my 7-year-old kid see it. And now I realize there's no way in hell. And we show it to the kid. He'd be like drooling and twitching, and his eyes would roll back, and he'd be smelling roast beef for the rest of his life.
Despite swearing off doing his own stunts after the hard way, Michael couldn't resist the temptation in The Frighteners.
There I was, down in New Zealand, rolling off cars and stuff, because I get there, and it just looks so cool. Like, the car comes up to the crosswalk, and I'm supposed to stop, and then I said, I looked at the top of it, and there was this big Cadillac, and it was all shiny, and I said, a fella could slide right across this. And the next thing I know, action, and I'm sliding off it, and I just do it. It's cool. Well, I broke my damn foot in this movie. I was running, and I jumped, and my foot went like that. So the the elasticity is gone, and I'm getting old. You shouldn't try to, fit your life into your job. You should try to fit your job into your life. And when you're in a job where a lot of people pay attention to what you do, and a couple million people you don't even know have an opinion about you, you better have a refuge, and family is that, so that ultimately, when you have projects out there being judged or being received in one way or the other, you know that ultimately the only people whose respect you really crave and really need is the respect of your family. And that regardless of whether you're living up to other people's expectations, if you're living up to the expectations of your family, you're doing all right, you're living a fairly solid life.